This is Providence Television International, the toast of today's television viewers. Don't be left out. Yes, welcome to Products of Edo College, one of our high-profile programs on this station. And we're talking about a college that is set apart, absolutely, particularly in these parts of the country. Now, who is our guest for this edition? A very prominent medical doctor in Benin. He's the medical director of Echo's Hospital here in Benin City. Yes, the picture is out there. But we are going to talk with him on the basis of Edo College, his experiences, what the college has taught him, and some of the feelings he has had ever since he left Edo College over 50 years ago. And our guest today is Dr. Mate Obaze, Medical Director, Echo's Hospital, Benin City, and I'd like to welcome you formally to the program.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Doctor.
It's my pleasure to be here.
Thank you very much. Yes, my name is Emmanuel Legariva. I'm the anchor for this program, and I'm proud to be because this is our roots. And Dr. Obaze, I would like to start from this point. You entered in 1968. That was during the war years, the Civil War. What kind of experience can you talk about when you entered Edo College as per the Civil War?
Well, as per the Civil War, it was quite an interesting experience. You could never predict what will happen next, and but it did not affect our studies.
Okay.
But there were times, especially in the night, there was this the periods of the occupation. There was this Russian von Russe or something like
yes,
that.
Yes. Oh, yes.
So it would come, and then there would be bombings, and then so once there was signal that there was going to be a bombing, I said lights out, and all lights will be put out, and then take cover. Then you go and lie down as on the floor, close to the walls. So those were the standing instructions, and we kept to it. So, but fortunately, there were those periods. Those were few, and of course, the time of the invasion, especially the period of the liberation, we were not in school session.
Okay.
It was during the holiday when the federal troop came to liberate the state, and again that was an interesting section, and I personally had a traumatic experience I will never forget. And
what was that about?
Well, two things: personal level. I stayed with my uncle, and during the war, of course, I had gone to the school. He was captured. He was almost caught up in the area, so it was a period of anxiety until we found him. But when the liberation occurred, really, and I was face to face. I remember a lady, and they brought her, and they said, "Oh, this is one of the Biafran ladies," and then she kept crying, "I'm not be Biafra, I be Port Harcourt." But people say, Port Harcourt not be Igbo, not the same thing. And right in my presence, she was killed. And I will never forget that thing. And I say, war really is a terrible experience that one should not. They just stoned her till she died. And it was a traumatic thing for a young child, young boy like me.
Yes. So. What did you meet on ground when you entered Edo College?
What I met on ground? Well, there were physical structures, and there were functional institutions. The Edo College as a functional institution, and then the physical structure.
Yes.
We are in the old site where Edo College is now. There were 6 houses at the time we entered. Later, before we left, under the period when we had an expatriate principal, Mr. Alonso.
Mr. Alonso.
When he came, he felt that the junior ones that just entered the school, many times he was not used to the idea of the senior giving directive, come and do this and come and do that. He felt it was oppression. So I felt the young ones just coming for the first time, it was not a good experience for them.
Yes,
so
yes,
he drove the idea of building a seventh house,
which was
junior house. So that was how junior house came on board, and the junior house was for those who were entering the school for the first time.
Yes,
It felt that if they were there, protected, nobody to harass them, nobody to oppress them.
Yes.
So and they had a they used to select one person from each house to go and be the prefect for the junior house. We were in the first set to do that. So I represented my house, Esige House.
Okay.
Henry Asamota was the head of the junior house at that time. So we had a number of us. Ben Ahwemoha was representing, I think, Weka or Akenzwa House. I think Akenzwa House. So different we had people. Asen represented Spare House. So anyway, we had a collection.
Good.
So we had 6 houses. No, but that was the list of the things. They were very functional, but what we met was a functional institution.
Good.
With culture and tradition. We prided ourselves in the culture, the tradition. Part of the tradition is you have utmost respect for your seniors.
That's true. That's true. Absolutely.
Edo College, we were not calling ourselves senior or junior.
Oh.
We just say please.
Please.
It was a cultured way of accepting.
Right.
So if you were going to call your senior, it's Gareva, please.
Oh, yes.
Or Henry Asamota, please.
Yes,
always the surname. You don't call your senior by their first name.
That's right.
So and those things stuck.
They stuck.
It stuck because I remember many years later, I was doing my residency in Plateau State, and I took an elective to go and work with a surgeon, a renowned surgeon, an American surgeon, Dr. Verbrugge, in Evangel Hospital. I was in Von Christian Hospital.
In Jos.
In Jos, in Plateau State.
Yes.
So, and American, he was Glenn Verbrugge. And so I said, sir, excuse me, Dr. Verbrugge.
Oh.
I said, and then he would say something. I said, yes, sir. He said, don't call me Verbrugge. Call me Glenn.
Oh.
Glenn was his first name.
Yes.
I couldn't get myself to call you by the first name. That he was so senior to me. So those things. So we had those traditions. We had the institutions. And, of course, the school rules were supreme. Right. Some of us became epitome of the school rules. You go, you know when to wake up, 5:45 to 6:45 is waking time. From there on till lights out in the night, everything was programmed.
Structured.
Structured and programmed, and you had to keep to it, including the time you must go to the field to work. So we made all those structures and functions, and of course, the school was well equipped with teachers.
Good.
The curriculum was rich, both the core curriculum and side curriculum like woodwork.
Oh, exactly.
We were one of the few schools that were doing woodwork, technical drawing.
Yes.
This day I have a son-in-law who is an architect, and he wonders where I'm so versatile with architectural drawings and so on. So we got all those things. So woodwork, I remember Mr. Appias was an elderly man, but he taught us woodwork.
And you did some farming as well.
Of course, gardening was a very serious thing. You have your own ridge,
and you have
your flower hedge. So I was the flower boy for my house, and again, those things have stuck. If you come to my house I would not enjoy living in any place, hotel or anywhere where there are no flowers. But I think I got all those things, having your straight hedges and so on. So those were some of the things we met on ground. The environment had to always be clean. One thing that I met that I treasured, but I don't think we handed it over as a culture, was the treasure hunt.
Oh, treasure hunt.
I don't know if you met it.
We met treasure hunt, of course.
Treasure hunt was a very interesting game, and I still look back to it, and it was quite some fun.
And it was so engaging.
Very engaging.
Yes,
we just said go to not of the compound.
Oh,
The south
and then you'll
is
be
there,
directed
and you
somewhere
run
else,
there. Then from there you are directed somewhere
Oh dear,
until you
oh
get
dear.
it. You got
The
the
younger
treasure.
generation will not know what we are talking about
So
now,
that's
obviously.
what I say. I regret that
Yes.
we probably didn't hand that
Oh
part
yeah.
over.
Yeah. Oh,
But
yeah.
it was an interesting thing living in school in those days,
Yes,
having the fun, sports. We engage in all kinds of sports.
Yes. Yes.
I think we were only 2 schools in those days that was doing cricket in the Midwest
In the
region.
Midwest, yes.
It was Edo College and Government College,
Uwele. Yes.
So we have engagement with King's College, Government College Ibadan. Those were the schools that were doing. It was like a privilege sports.
Yeah, that's right.
So those were the things we met, and it was interesting.
Good, very good. How competitive was it to get into Edo College in your time?
Oh, it was highly competitive. Of course, there was nothing like you don't use influence or connection.
That's true.
It was purely academic.
That's true.
For me, I think God positioned me for he set me up to be able to get in there because like I said, my father was a polygamous man. He had children from 6 wives.
Oh, really?
But we always just 3 women at home at any point in time. Some had gone, some had been late by the time we came on board or we grew up. So and he was very keen on having his children educated because he saw the benefit of education. And he had limited education, but the limited one was he was one of the most educated in his set, in his family. But it was self-education. And so early, the 3 of us got into school at the same time because within 1 year, 3 of us were born by different women. So we're always going together. My immediate senior brother, myself, and my junior brother.
Were you the only one who had the privilege of going to Edo College?
I wasn't the only one, but I was the first one, even though I was the middle one. But I gained an entrance there, and of course, it was a source of pride for my father. And I was so proud that his child was in Edo College. Then the following year, my immediate senior brother came in, so it was actually my junior in school. So it was also all the difficult time. People assumed that I was the senior.
Did he ever call you a Basel place?
Well, I really don't remember. So I'm sure he would just call me Matthew, as we've always called ourselves at home. So, but it was interesting for me. What set me up, and then we got into school right from the beginning. I was promising academically, my father and my uncles who were actually doing tutoring us felt this guy is promising. He's looking very well. Then in primary 3, I don't know what happened. My result was not as good as in previous years, and my father was worried because he felt this was my most promising child. So he took a decision with my mother, my late mother, that we have to do something. So they conspired, I would say, to decide that I should go and stay with my uncle, who was a teacher. His reasoning was that if I'm with my uncle, who is a teacher, then I will be more focused with my studies. So he sent me to my uncle, who was my mother's immediate junior brother, who was a teacher. So I stayed with him, and truly, there was no distraction. And being a teacher, I was transferred from one school to the other. A lot of it in rural areas, so there wasn't too much distraction. So I was focused on studies. So when it came to preparing for the entrance examination, I was focused. I remember we used to have revision books. I went through all the questions in English, in arithmetic. I went through, solved all the problems, all the essays, wrote almost everything in preparation for the exams. And I was a bookworm. Even my uncle, who was a teacher, felt I was reading too much because I enjoyed my hobby there was just reading. And so I remember a lot of books, Lamb's Tales from Shakespeare. I had virtually read everything before I went into Edo College. So going into Edo College and going through some of them again, it was easy. So with that preparation, I did the entrance examination, and of course, the best school I knew of then was Edo College.
Was Edo College, yes,
so I
yes.
chose Edo College, and I passed, went for the interview, and we passed.
And nobody influenced anything?
No, nobody influenced.
Yes,
so
yes.
they just took the best 60 candidates. It was 60 usually, 3 classes, 20 per class,
yes.
and ABC. So, and they had an interesting way of selecting which arm you were. I'm sure you are familiar with
of
that.
Course, of course.
The younger ones, or the one that looks smaller size, were put in class A. Those of us who were middle were in class B.
Oh, you were not that small.
Yeah, we were not that small. The bigger ones, those were looking more older, more mature. They ended up in class C. So that really was how we started.
So you enjoyed every bit of your stay?
Oh, very well.
Yes.
It was an interesting time. The meals, I mean, we were almost spoiled.
Almost spoiled, yes, that's the word.
Almost spoiled, because you had everything, and yes, you pay school fees, but the value of what we got was far in excess of the school fees, both in terms of the quality of education, because we had the best teachers in all the classes.
That's true.
There was no class you say we don't have qualified teachers. We had the best of them, and so preparing us for examination was not a problem.
Okay.
And then, of course, the extracurricular activities were very rich. I was personally, how will I put it, almost distracted because the policy of the school was that you should belong to at least 2 clubs. But at any point in time, I don't think I belonged to less than 4.
Oh, really?
So because my interest was very broad.
Yes.
And so,
which was the main thing really that you belonged to?
Well, I was in the science club, I was in French club, I was in debating society. I was in what do you call it now?
But you were not in Man War? You were not in Man
No, I wasn't in Man War.
Okay.
I wasn't in Man War. So, debating society, and a number of them, and each of them I was fully in.
Okay.
Science club, for example, I think Greg Ogbefun was in charge at that time. We immediately after the war, we had a tour, and again we were privileged. Edo College had brand new Toyota Coaster buses. So we used that vehicle to
I can't remember the number now.
I can't remember the number.
464
yes, something like that.
Yes, oh my God.
So we toured the East Central states at that time, went to Umuahia, went to Enugu, and then went to see the bunker in Ojuku's bunker and all those things. We went to Ogbunigwe to see all the war museum, and then Ogbunike Cave, all those places.
So it was a wonderful
It was a rich thing.
It was a rich experience.
And the French club, we went to Togo on French tour. Practicing and really doing all that.
So it was quite a good mix. Science and French.
Yes, I was also in the press club. I was in the editorial. Lately I saw a copy of it and saw my photograph. I was looking for it for this function, but unfortunately I couldn't see it. They saw it, yes. So, and Victor Osarene was our editor at that point in time. So it was an interesting thing. Rich education from all angles. And,
thank you very much. I mean, this is quite amazing. It's very amazing. However, you can still remember, it's just 50, maybe 51, 52 years down the line.
Yeah.
You still remember some of your classmates?
Oh, quite a number.
Oh, yes.
We have an active WhatsApp group, so it keeps us together.
Okay.
Quite a number. We have Tony Ojobo is acting more like the monitor or the coordinator of the WhatsApp group. Engineer Igbagbe, Ima Igbagbe.
Oh, Emmanuel.
We have that Felix. Felix.
It's a traditional ruler.
It's a traditional ruler, a Nogie of so Nogie. Is also a classmate. It's Omorodion.
That's
Tony Obo. Tony Obo. You had Abu. You have Ojobos.
The
Asemotas, Henry and Kingsley, Agedo, Marcel, Gberaise, and quite a number. John Hussein, and quite a number of them.
And I'm sure
still
there
very
are
much in touch.
Yes, that's good.
Godwin,
Godwin.
Well,
I'm sure there are some you've never met.
Quite a number. Yes, there are quite a number.
That's
sometimes
sad,
embarrassing.
Yes,
we
that's
don't
true.
see.
That's true.
Osifo, I say Osifo, I meet him from time to time.
Oh yes, that's true.
So there are quite a number I've not met. Some I see and I don't recognize.
Oh, yeah,
sometimes we come together. Some time ago we had a get together and it was quite an interesting thing. We've not had a bet, and we do get together when we have functions. Okay. Recently I celebrated my birthday and quite a number of my classmates were around, and it was fun.
That's awesome.
So
That's awesome.
sometimes it is a wedding function that brings us together. Sometimes the burial of one parent or the other, and so on. So we are very much in touch with a nucleus of them, but there are many we've not. My best friends from that school time, say maybe to now, Ede Nobahari. He
Eno
Louis' elder brother. He left the shores of Nigeria immediately after his A level. He's been in the U.S. and he's visited once or twice, and that's about the number of times. So, but he's virtually decided to. I think he lastly lived in California. He just moved over to Florida to settle down. I think that is his retirement home. I hope he will visit us from time to time. So there are quite a number that are out like that. Okwon Rai also was my classmate. He settled in UK. Well, we have quite a lot. A lot of them.
Yeah, some of your contemporaries will still remember. Obviously. But let me quickly ask this: of your seniors, will you pinpoint anyone that tended to punish you unnecessarily? Because there was a tradition of class 2 boys.
Yes. Fortunately for me, I didn't have that experience. I think I was. People regarded I was very good.
Yes.
You know, in my Form 1, I was actually given the prize for the best behaved boy in the school.
Really?
So you can imagine I didn't get into trouble because I was an epitome of the school rule. If it was time to sleep, you see me sleeping. If it was time to read, you see me reading.
But you in SU, Scripture Union?
Well, not initially. I was religious. I was in the Legion of Mary, and it was incidentally in Form 4 so in the Legion of Mary I was very active, almost evangelistic, but I was a Catholic. But in Form 4 I had an encounter. We had an argument, and the simple argument was, do you believe everything in the Bible? And we were just among us prefects in the junior house, and I made a remark. I said, but you can't believe everything in the Bible. How can you, after you have been taught that matter can neither be created nor destroyed?
Yes.
Then they just tell you that God said, let there be light, and there was. And in my little brain, I felt that was not scientific. And so, and I remember it was Akwemoka Benjamin that said, even Obaze, you are saying that, because everybody regarded me as one of the people, the SU, but I wasn't SU at that point in time. And that statement kept ringing in my heart. Even you, Obaze, you are saying that. I went back to my partition, and it just dawned on me that really I'm not giving my life to Christ. So I knelt down that day in my partition, gave my life to Christ. From then, my life changed altogether.
Yes.
So shortly after that, I joined the Scripture Union.
Okay.
So you say, in Edo College, really we didn't call it Scripture Union. We call it Christian Union, which was unique because it was unique to us. Every other school called their Scripture Union, but we didn't belong to the mainstream. We had an independent Christian union. It was a very, very vibrant union. I eventually became the head of the Christian Union at a point in time, and we were fairly independent. So anyway, that's how I got to be.
Good. Were you ever a prefect?
Yes, I was prefect. I was actually the head of a Sige house.
Good.
Until we resigned. I think I hope we were the first and the last to resign as prefect. So, but I was a prefect for the larger part. It was just towards the end.
Good. When you were the prefect, who was the head of school? Or what some people call senior prefect?
Yeah, well, the head of school when we started off as prefect was Henry Asemota.
Good.
He was the head of school, but then he.
That's the one who made aggregate 6.
Yes, exactly.
Beautiful.
He made aggregate 6. Very brilliant.
Brilliant
that
guy,
chap. So he eventually got entrance in to prelim in University of Ibadan.
Yes.
So he left before he could finish his A level and continue as. So after that, Omorogbe was made the head of school.
Yes.
So both under with Henry and I remained the prefect, the head of SCG House.
Yes, thank you very much. There is this term, I'm sure you remember, woman.
Yeah.
Yes. Who was your own woman or woman?
Well, the only one I will remember was Valentine Eweka. We see me once in a while. Valentine Eweka he was a son of his father was I think commissioner of police in those days.
Yeah, he retired as I think DIG. Yes.
DIG,
yes, that's right. That's right.
So Valentine was, and
Your
the other was, I think that's the only one I remember.
Were you woman to anybody else?
Not really. I wouldn't say. Not really. I don't know how I escaped that, but I was a favorite of quite a number.
Yes.
That were good to me. Greg. Senior Greg, engineer Greg Ogbefun, were quite close, and he was very kind to me.
Okay.
And there were quite a few others like that I was close to, but I wouldn't say I was really
That's good.
having that relationship.
Very good. Which was your favorite meal back at Edo College?
Of course, the common meal for, I'm sure 90% of it was beans and dodo. Beans and dodo. You know, the dodo of Edo College was unique.
It was very unique.
It was different from every other dodo.
I don't know how they did it.
I don't know. Sometimes I still practice it. I try, but I can only get it approximately. So we call it LLD.
LLD.
Long dodo. So you go have
the
the whole length of the plantain.
Like
you just get the whole length. Exactly.
Oh,
so it was unique.
No.
So taking it with beans was interesting, and I think it was a favorite of almost everybody. So
yes, thank you very much. We'll go to the lighter side. You had some favorite teachers back at Edo College?
Yes. Quite a few. I think Mr. Asudo took me personally as a very, I remember, we were very close. He taught us English. Brilliant chap. Brilliant chap. I think he had one of the best results in his time in University of Ibadan.
Yes.
So he did not just teach. He poured his passion into it. He was passionate about it. He will teach, and he will bring other things. I still remember he will tell you, look, there's only one road to success, and that is through sweat. So you never forget all those very vivid illustrations that you have to work hard and read everything. He said, some of you read as if you read your books in such a way that you are looking at the syllabus and you are looking at what you are reading, and you don't want, it's as if you close the portion and say, this portion is not in the syllabus, let me not by mistake go and read it. So he was very passionate, and he took a special interest in me. When years later I got admission to University of Ibadan, that's after I left school, we kept contact. I got to know I got admission into University of Ibadan. He personally took it upon himself to come and meet my father.
Are you serious?
To come and encourage it that, make sure whatever it's going to take to make sure you get this, please do it. So he was a favorite.
Yes.
What was this other man's name now?
What did he teach?
History.
Igbenovia, you mean?
Igbenovia.
Yeah, it's late.
Yes, it's late. Yes, Mr. Igbenovia was somebody else that took interest and was very good. Akpokene was a favorite of almost everybody. Because Akpokene, I was saying it in the presence of his son in the church recently, that Akpokene was unique because I don't know if he was a university graduate, I don't think, but he was the most effective teacher.
And he knew his onions.
Yes. So
he taught
agriculture and then general science at the beginning, then end agriculture if you now went further. And he had a reputation that almost all his students will have A1 in agriculture. Agriculture was one subject you could almost be sure you get A1, provided you just stay within. Absolutely. And I remember when we were doing nature study, we go around and we are teaching us the names of different plants, and we used to whisper that he's just forming it. How can he know the name of all? So sometimes, children, I say, come. I say, sir, excuse me, sir, please come. Where's the name of this one? You think you are setting him up? I say, oh, that is goat weed. That is goat weed. And you say,
it was so, his intonation was perfect.
Yeah, it was perfect.
Yes.
So he said, that is goat weed. Then the other one, that is Alamanda catatica.
Oh my goodness.
So they tell you that. So it made the subject interesting and lively. Yes, so it was quite a person to deal with.
Yes.
So there were quite a number of others that really very good, and they took interest. There was Mr.
Gbinokpoge, yes, that's true.
They took interest. Of course, the principals were excellent principals.
So you went through how many principals? Osigbeme, yes, that's right.
Where I ended with Osigbeme.
Yes.
I started with AAE Sage.
Okay.
I always like to
that was Osigbeme there, yes, that's right.
That's Osigbeme.
Great man, really.
A great man. And then AAE Sage was the principal when we entered the school, and they had an aura of discipline and strictness around him. So it was such that if you were playing around, in fact, one day he came and said, "Come, what is it? Am I a terrorist?" Because when you are playing around just innocently, and you hear the vehicle coming,
and you just
and the Mercedes coming, and so everybody is running up and down. You are just dashing out. Principal is coming.
By the way, people will know this. They should know this. He's the father of Professor Sage.
Yes, Professor Sage. Yes, I met him sometime at the advanced legal. Are you the son of Sage? He said, "That's my father." He was an awesome man.
Awesome.
So he said, "Why do you run away? Everybody running." So Sage had an
But that was the positive fear.
Yeah, it was positive fear. Because you are not sure whether your shirt is well tucked in, or whether your shoe is properly polished or something. So he didn't want to become
discipline.
So the discipline was so he was there, and he maintained the culture, the tradition. School was there. Then of course I think in our Form 2 or 3 he left and was replaced by Alonso.
Great man.
Alonso came with his own. I keep quoting him in my establishment. Alonso came with the concept of term order test.
Yes.
Before Alonso, there were two things that he changed. Before Alonso came, you do your terminal exam, final year promotion exam, and then of course final year, which is the exit exam. When Alonso you do that at the end of the term or at the end of the year, promotion at the end of the year, and the emphasis was what position did you take? Were you first? Were you second? And third? And if you were any of those three, you work with a sense of pride.
Yes.
When Alonso came, he terminated that tradition. He started term order.
Yes.
And term order was a test, what we call continuous assessment.
Yes.
So he introduced it, and I'm sure Edo College was probably one of the first to do it. So we'll do test A at the end of every month, and at the end of the test, he would go personally to every class, and he was looking for 6 people. 3 people who improved over themselves most. So if last term order, your average score was 48%,
Okay.
and now your current score is 52 or 55%. You've moved by 4 or 5 points, and that is the highest move. Then you were asked to stand up and congratulated.
Good.
It did not matter whether you were the first or the last and so on, because in those days when you are first, you feel
Exactly.
you've arrived.
Exactly.
So he now said, so if you the best, the highest, the next one who moved most, the next one, the first three that improved on their performance were recognized for commendation. Then he looked at the other three who deteriorated most. So if in last term order you were 60% and now you drop to 55%, you are to stand up for warning. So your 55% may still be the best.
Exactly.
And maybe your 60% was the best that time. Now you have 55. It's still the best, but you have deteriorated.
Exactly.
So he taught that culture which organization now recognize. That there's a book that called Go to Great. One of the factors they said most companies from being good companies to being great company was that they compare themselves with themselves rather than with competitors and others.
Exactly.
So and that was what Alonso was inculcating, that don't say because you are first, therefore you are good. If you are first and you were averaging 80% and you are still first, you are now averaging 78%, it's a deterioration.
Does it?
Comparing yourself and your previous performance with your present performance, you deteriorated.
So it's stuck,
so
really.
It's stuck. So that was
Yes,
so he abolished the idea of first, second, third.
Yes,
So and
that's
that
right.
was confusing to parents. Because when you get to it, say, did you pass? He said, yes, I passed. What was your position? We don't know the position, but I scored this.
Yes.
So
we went through that.
It
We
was
went through all of that.
interesting.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I mean, you've taken us down memory lane, really.
Yeah.
And you are talking as if it was only yesterday, but it's over 50
It's
years
fresh.
ago.
You know, that's one thing Edo College did. What it did, it became part of you.
Yes.
It became part of you. I know I've had the privilege of doing quite some travels, and of course being in the profession, I interact with a lot of people who trained outside. Even my housemanship I did at Cool Baptist Hospital, which was largely an American-based institution.
That's true.
So, and I've had some people, especially some of American and my Canadian friends, ask, did you train abroad? I said, no, I did not train abroad. He said, but you behave like it. I said, no, it's the secondary school I trained.
Good.
Secondary school I trained groomed us to be among the
You
best.
didn't mention
It was
the
a
secondary
world
school?
class. Well, I mentioned it, but for many
They
of
may
them,
not.
it didn't make anything. I said, my secondary school, Edo College, if you went there, you were trained to be among the best. You could rank with the best anywhere.
Absolutely.
So, and
Absolutely.
so we owe a lot to Edo
Absolutely.
College.
You have the opportunity of having attended the college at old site and new site.
Yeah.
Did you ever regret moving from old site to new site?
Well, mixed feelings.
Okay.
Mixed feelings. We had gotten used to the old site
With all the prefab buildings.
plain area, prefab, and some of the older ones maybe made of mud or whatever.
Mud, yes,
mud. So they were, but we got used to it, and and it was a large compound. We had enough place to play and all the things, playing field. So we enjoyed the place. But when the new site came, it was supposed to be a privilege.
Oh, I thought yes, that was the new site.
Yeah,
Yes.
the new site was a donation, I think, from the Italian government.
No,
or
Canadian.
Canadian government. So it was supposed to be a privilege, built to world standard and so on. But so when we moved there, it was like a privilege going to a school built and donated to the state.
Yes.
And the buildings then could rank with the buildings you found in the universities
That's true.
in those days. So, and initially it was met with a lot of excitement. We were happy. We are moving to the new site, story buildings for
the first
time, story buildings in the houses and so on and so forth. So the school really looked like a tertiary institution. But later, I think the land that was given for that place,
Yeah, the topography.
the topography of it was challenging.
Okay.
Erosion became a problem. The field took quite some time to settle down because erosion will wash off some areas, and even some part of the building was now threatened and so on. Maybe for the Canadian government, and in their days they will be able to face those challenges, but it was a challenge.
Yes.
I think gradually the school is adjusting to it, but that took some time of challenge. So that's why I said it was mixed feelings.
Mixed feelings, yes. Yes, thank you very much. We must talk about the home front.
Okay.
Yes. Your wife is also a doctor?
Yes, she is.
Okay. What aspect of medicine is that?
She's an ophthalmologist. I'm a family physician.
Okay.
So she's an ophthalmologist, and ophthalmologists work on the eyes. Incidentally, we're classmates.
Really?
Yeah, we're classmates in University of Ibadan. That's my wife.
Yeah, that's your wife there.
Yeah. And she was the most beautiful girl in this class. So
you can say that again. You can say that again.
So, and she's a Yoruba lady, but...
Are you serious?
Yes. That we got...
My
father had told me when I hinted at that, I have somebody I want to marry. And I said, okay. Who is that? I said, it's a Yoruba lady. He said, no, don't bring... I said, I will bring her the next time I'm coming. He said, no, I don't want to see. Go and find a Benin lady. And so... But incidentally, there was a reason for her to come round. When he saw her, he accepted instantly. So that all opposition dropped. I think she had the same experience. She had told her father she has somebody who is interested and she thinks she will want to marry. And the father said, "Who is that?" He said, "Benin person." He said, "No, I don't want to."
Are you serious?
So she was scared of me ever meeting the father. But we had an occasion, we traveled, they were based in Lagos. We had something to do in Lagos, and I kept saying, "Introduce me to your father." And he said, no, I'm too scared.
So all charges again were dropped.
So she was scared. No, she can't go. I said, "If you won't introduce me, I'm going to introduce myself." And he said, "You can go, you cannot do it." So I went forward, I met my late father-in-law. I said, I introduced myself, and I'm your daughter Femi's friend.
Yes.
So, and again, all charges dropped.
Both
so
ways.
God just worked it out. So
this is quite exciting. This is quite exciting. So in between this union. Oh, by the way, how old is the union?
We got married 1981.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So in between, how many kids?
Three
Three
children.
children. Yes, 3 children.
They are grown up, each of them with their own children. So they are grown up.
Yes, that's it there.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, those are my children. The boy is the most senior.
And this is the enlarged family.
This is a larger family. My in-laws and my grandchildren.
That's wonderful. That's wonderful. Is she also partnering with you at Echoes Hospital?
Yes, she's my partner. Well, we didn't start like that. I started from the beginning. In my final year medical school, I felt like God specifically spoke to me. I felt that was God speaking to me, that my work life is going to be in the private sector. Okay. So I was focused. I probably would have entered earlier, except from the advice of my late uncle, who was my mentor, Surveyor Osai Huwung. He actually paid my school fees in secondary school.
I knew him.
Okay, you knew him. So he was my father's nephew, but he grew up with my father almost as a father. Okay. So when I entered Edo College, my father started paying. He paid the first school fees, but he now asked that he refunded the school fees to him and said from there on he would take responsibility for me. That's so great. When I finished, I was anxious to really go into private practice. Then Obasanjo regime came and placed a ban. That was the time doctors had a long strike. There was a quarrel between doctors and federal government. So they placed a ban that no doctor should start private practice until after 5 years of practice. So I grumbled, and my uncle said, "No, as a professional, you need that experience. Yes. So I used that experience to go do my residency in general medical practice, now called family medicine, and it was useful. God has helped me, taking me through a lot of skills in that direction. I eventually became the chairman. In fact, the first chairman by examination, we call it, of the faculty in the National Postgraduate Medical College, and also eventually became the Africa regional president, representing Africa in the World Organization of Family Doctors.
Yes.
So it's,
yes,
God
I think we have a picture of that.
Yes.
Yes. So world body.
Yes.
Yes, that's it.
That was the executive.
And you are the one on the extreme left.
I'm the one on the extreme left.
Yes.
So I was representing Africa. The man at the middle, Michael Kidd, Professor Michael Kidd, was the world president then.
He's from where?
He's from Australia.
Australia.
Although it's now more based in Canada.
Okay.
But he's from Australia. And on his immediate left is Amanda Howell. Amanda Howell eventually became also the president of the World Organization of Family Doctors.
That's good.
And
That's
then
good. That's
somewhere there, okay, on the extreme right is the immediate past president of the World Organization of Family Doctors.
Good.
She too is from Australia.
Good. Very good.
She was our editor then.
Very good. Very good. I won't fail to ask this question because of what Nigeria has become. A lot, I'm sure you know this, Dr. Baza, a lot of your colleagues have moved away from this country.
That's
Yes,
correct.
absolutely.
That's true.
Yes. And some of you decided to stay back.
Yeah.
What is making them move away?
What is making them move away? I thought what you were going to ask, what is making those of us who stayed back to,
No, on
to
the contrary.
stay back?
No, on the contrary. We are more concerned about those moving away. Yes.
Yeah, we are concerned. I think there are more reasons to move away. I've just told you some of the beautiful experiences in those days, how Nigeria was. As a house officer, I bought my own car with my own money.
Okay.
As a house officer, well, it wasn't a brand new car, but it was 6 months old Volkswagen. And but these days, with your salary, you may work for 10, 20 years, and you may not get
nothing to show for
nothing to show for it. So, of course, we know what's happening now. And the greatest problem, I think, is we all grew up, like I said, from the Civil War time. We've seen Nigeria emerge. We went through war. And even in the midst of war, I describe the experience we had. It was interesting. Nigeria was a place to be in. When I was in the medical school, I had classmates who were from different parts of the world. I had classmates from Canada. I have classmates from the US. I had classmates from even the United Kingdom.
That's right.
Who were my classmates. But these days, who will want to come to Nigeria to send his children to Nigeria? Even our people now send children to Ghana to study. So we had those things, and the society was predictable. You could know, if I work like this, if I do this, in 5 years I can have this, I can do this, and so. But now, a friend was just telling me yesterday, he used to topping up a car, and then she went and she was distracted, thinking that top up, maybe another 10, 20,000 will be okay. By the time they finished, they said 50,000. He said she screamed, where is she going to get 50,000?
Oh my God.
Just to top up. So, and that the previous day, her driver had said he had put 20,000. So in 2 days, 70,000 so that is the reality. So sometimes they talk of, even with the minimum wage and all the things, you just wonder, all the teachers in those days, some of them had flats in the compound. Those who didn't have could easily rent a 3-bedroom flat conveniently, and they will have their own cars and things. But now, even the principal of a school, when you think of what is required to fuel your car for 1 week, then you wonder how many principals can even afford it. And so that happens with the education. So the standard of living has fallen. People cannot afford to have a decent life, and for professionals, and that is why many doctors have gone. For professionals, you don't have the things to work with.
Exactly.
You hear of the wonders and the things your colleagues are doing. They are doing even heart replacement, heart surgery. They are doing the cardiac replacement, and open heart surgery, all kinds of things. And some of those people you taught. Some of them are not as good as, but here you are handicapped. One of the reasons that, apart from the fact that God clearly spoke to me, I decided I would be in private practice was I wanted a kind of self-determination. Because, like I said, I did my house job at Eco Baptist Hospital.
Yes.
And it was an American institution. You had everything you wanted to work with. You could do almost anything you wanted to do.
The facilities
were there. So I just felt that I could gradually build up my own practice to be able to do what I wanted, not to be limited. You know, those were the days Abacha said that our hospitals have become mere consulting clinics and so on. So the wherewithal to work and get job satisfaction is not there. The means to have a standard, good quality of life is not there. And worst of all is security problems. Good. Sometimes some of them visit, some of them went with the mind that they will go for some time, then they'll come back.
Yes.
But sometimes they come back and the next thing,
they are kidnapped.
Or their friend that went kidnapped, and some of them killed.
So
they don't feel like coming back again.
Yeah, chances are that they won't want to come back.
They won't want to come back.
Okay.
So for many of them, they went with the mind they go back. Otherwise, it's good to go and then come back. It broadens your horizon, your vision, and so on. But that should be you go, acculturize, you come back, and then add that culture to our own. It ought to be, but the incentive is not there. And inflation is a problem. With something you can buy today, tomorrow you cannot buy it again.
On, in spite of everything.
Well, we have to march on.
Yes.
We like first for me, it was a mandate. Like I told you, this was what God told me.
Oh, exactly.
And I have a strong commitment. I believe that our lives were made for a purpose.
Oh, yes.
And God is the one who defines that purpose. It's not up to us to choose whatever we like. So if God has told you what to do, He will make it good for you.
By providence.
By providence, exactly. He will make it good. And so that's exactly what God has done. When we started practice, it was a challenge. But I was quite clear that God was going to do it. I didn't have things bequeathed on me as such.
Oh, yes,
I remember the very day God told me, today I'm going to show you where you're going to start your practice. At that point in time, what I had I would say me and my wife, what we had in our account was 2,000 naira.
Oh, dear.
Well, 2,000 naira was quite some money then, but it was an act of faith for us to step out. And we stepped out, and God has been faithful. Just with good management and God's guidance.
Apparently today the story has changed.
The story has changed, and we are able to.
Did I hear you say providence?
Yes.
Oh, beautiful. Thank you very much.
So then,
yes.
Okay.
Lastly, before we go, don't forget that we should tell our viewers this. The program has been products of Edo College. Lastly, Dr. Baze, what advice do you have for the young ones who are going through that very wonderful institution?
Edo College.
Yes.
My first advice is to the teachers and the students that are in a position to uphold the culture is to say you have a legacy you have inherited, and the torch should not drop, the baton should not drop at your beat. You should uphold that high standard of culture and things that we were known for. We should uphold it, and we should not drop the baton. Keep the beacon, the light shining, keep the torch shining, and be ready to hand it over to the next generation better than you met it. We shouldn't allow, we should not be distracted, and we should not, so that's my first advice. Second one, to the students, you have a rich legacy. It's a privilege to be in Edo College.
That's true.
And you must appreciate that privilege. You are not just in another secondary school. We are so conscious of it in our days that we are not. It was not another secondary school. We couldn't behave the way others would behave. We went to church. You went in a clean slate file.
Yes.
You stayed there. Your uniform has to be prim and proper. You cannot fly your shirt you cannot be dressed and your church is flying. You cannot wear slippers, rubber slippers, and so you were taught to be mannered. And so the people that are there now, you mustn't let that standard drop in your time.
Absolutely.
It will be sad if at this time you now get involved in things like cultism and all kinds of evil that we hear is happening in some places. That should not be our record. We must uphold that. And of course, we must know why we are there. We are there to study. We are there to be the best. If in your time, Edo College is not the best, in our time, Edo College was unarguably the best school in the state and one of the best in the world.
Yes, exactly.
Or in the country,
yes,
at that time. If in your time it's not there, that there is work to do. You must work towards it, both the teachers and the students. So that is my advice to the young ones. And they'll know that going through Edo College gives you the privilege to rank among the best in the world. When you come out, wherever you are, whether you are there, they just showed you my personal privilege, and it is not unique to me. Quite a number of other Edo College students have had that privilege.
Yes.
To be the fifth photograph with Joshua was the world executive of the World Organization of Family Doctors. So when you go through Edo College, you are programmed and positioned to be in the best of place in the world. Never think you are second to anybody. You are not. You rank among the best. So go with that confidence.
Good. Well, that is typical Edo College for you. And our guest has been Dr. Mathieu Obaze, MD, Ecos Hospital here in Benin, a very prominent health facility. He spoke like an Edo Collegian. I couldn't have expected anything less, because he went to a college that stood out amongst colleges. In fact, in those days, we used to say there were only two colleges, Edo College
and others.
And this has been proven. So we thank you very much, Dr. Baze. He went through Edo College 1968 to 1972 because he went through HSC shortly after. So, thank you very much for being here.
Thank you very much.
Yes.
It's a pleasure to have me here.
Yes, quite an odyssey going through the journey of life. But there are so many, hundreds. I will continue to keep a tab on them. I can promise you that. Edo College, people must draw inspirations from the old students of this amazing college. That's how we draw the curtain today. My name is Emmanuel Egareva. All my love and prayers. Bye-bye.
Thank you.